two big libs have teamed up for a podcast episode that nobody asked for and I don't think anyone wants. Also, find out what you can now get a loan for. The item's getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And also, what is fair criticism and what is a straight up threat? We'll discuss all of that and more coming up on this episode of Turning Point Tonight. My name is JoBob. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Turning Point Tonight, where we are charting the course of America's cultural comeback. Remember, you can always email the show at tpt@tpusa.com. You can email us whether you agree or you're wrong. We will do our best to read as many of the emails as we can in our fourth segment where we talk about our mailbag. But first, we have to get to this. I personally would like to wish a very happy birthday to Obamacare. And by a very happy birthday, I mean, please die and go away, because everything in the healthcare world has gotten more expensive. I don't need to tell you all of the statistics, but I'm going to anyway. But I would imagine you can feel it in your wallet. Since Obamacare was signed in 2010 and then implemented a couple years later, the average premium of employer-sponsored family coverage went from $13,000 to about $23,000, which is a 74% increase. Now, in that time frame, 2010 to 2023, you might be thinking, well, what about inflation? Well, yeah, Obamacare prices or healthcare premiums overall due to Obamacare increased 86% faster than inflation did. The individual markets, if you have an individual outside your employer plan, has more than doubled in doubled and is up, over 129% from 2014 to 2019, which is not good. Again, I know all of you know this already, but we need to highlight the fact that, well, policies have to be judged on what they do and their outcome as opposed to their good intentions. Now, the one thing that the libs will say is, well, more people have joined Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act. Okay, well, that's technically true. Tens of millions of Americans have been enrolled. But at the same time, if you're artificially inflating the cost of what the product that people are necessitated to buy, you don't get credit if they go to buy the cheaper option that you're subsidizing. Again, I'm aware that all of you already know this, but we need to highlight the fact that Obamacare has made millions of people have to be on worse healthcare for more money. Here to comment on that and a bunch more other stuff is a friend of the show, Turning Point contributor, as well as many other things involving former police officer, host of the Brandon Tate Show. Brandon Tatum joins us live to comment on all that and more. Brandon, how you doing?
I'm doing well, man. Thanks for having me on.
So just your thoughts overall, right? We've seen Obamacare and kind of the damage and destruction that I think it's done to my personal wallet. But overall, right, said to be a great thing. Look at how fantastic this plan is. And 15 years later has made healthcare more expensive and worse for tens of millions of Americans.
Yeah, I agree 1,000%. My mama had a big issue with Obamacare as well. She was forced to do it. They had the mandate initially, and it's a Ponzi scheme, if you ask me, to a certain degree. I think the government should not be directly involved in trying to force people to have a particular health care and set the price of the health care. We've seen this happen time and time again. You can look at the Canadian healthcare system. When you try to socialize medicine, it doesn't work well. I don't know why anybody think it makes sense. I mean, you could just do simple math. You compile 370 million people or so, or 350 million people into a particular healthcare system, and everybody has the same equal coverage. Then when someone has a catastrophe that happens, the system will be flooded. Everybody is going to run to the hospital for any given thing if it's all free. You see that happen with people who are illegally in our country, people who are on food stamps and welfare. As soon as they get a ding or they get an ache and a pain, they run straight to the emergency room. And what does that do for the people who are really paying into the system and they really need help? The system is clogged. I really do think we can improve on the healthcare in the United States of America. I think we should try to do our best to make it affordable for everybody. But at the end of the day, you cannot socialize it because it doesn't work.
I'm curious on your thoughts on this. I sometimes get a lot of heat for this. Unfortunately, I think we might be headed down the road to single-payer healthcare, in which case my response as a conservative is, well, okay, cool. Well, you don't get to do a lot of things. I'll be going slapping Big Macs out of hands, cigarettes out of people's mouths, because if we're all paying collectively, would that diminish what you're able to do in a free society, considering that, well, I don't want to have to pay for all of the medical missteps that other people have made? Is that a fair assumption?
Well, yeah, that's what happens when you socialize it, right? A single payer system. How do we maximize? We've seen those go into our system and figure out how do we maximize the taxpayer dollar. You should do the same thing with healthcare. This is what many healthcare providers are doing, and it's benefiting certain people who want to be healthy and who live a healthy lifestyle. But look, if we're all going to be responsible for the central system of Medicare or care for our medical needs, then we need to make sure it's maximized. So therefore, I think that if the government going to put their hands in that, then we need to start controlling whether people are consuming these things that we know that are causing them to have cancer, causing them to be obese, causing them to have all of these medical issues. And we also need to look at the Fauci ouchie, if you know what I'm saying, the injections they're giving our young people. Well, what's the residual effect of that? How many illnesses or diseases are caused from things that are not properly measured or researched? Then we have to look at all of that. And the very people that want to push this, they are probably not going to be okay with the mandates that come along with it. That's the problem when you have government take over, because on both sides, whether Republicans want it or Democrats want it, when you have the government take over, now that the government can now control what you do in your personal life. And I think people doesn't want that. You either want the government to control you or you want autonomy. Autonomy is a risk of freedom. And, you know, the government controlling is going to be the risk of you not having any freedom at the betterment of what the government decides for you. And so I think that in reality, we have to balance the two. You know, I think that it's hard to have people just caught on a limb where they're out struggling to have medical needs provided. I think they're taking it. These medical institutions are taking advantage of people. I mean, you name it, it's there. But I really do believe that we need to find a happy medium. And if both sides had a clear, fair evaluation of love for the American people, I think that we could come to a conclusion. But instead, they just fight each other the whole time and we get nothing done.
Yeah, you know what I've always wondered why the libs aren't a fan of things like Doge, right? The more efficiently the government spends the money, the more that we can do, especially considering all of the stuff that they want to do. But for some reason, they hate it. They hate it so much that former Congressman Jamaal Bowman, the guy who pulled the fire alarm, went on one of the cable news channels and said something interesting. The only reason I'm going to play this is because of Elon's response. So listen to this clip, and then we'll see how Elon responded and see if this is the correct way of going about things.
That's not true. And this shows, again, the American people do not trust Elon Musk. And Elon Musk is incompetent in his position. And how do we know? Because they fired tens of thousands of people. It was challenged in court. The court said the people have to go back, and now the people are coming back. He's incompetent. He's a thief. He's a Nazi, and people don't trust him. Period.
Let me just.
Okay, so just flat out calling Elon Musk a Nazi and a thief, to which Elon responded like this on Twitter, saying this like basically, all right, I've had enough, lawsuit inbound, probably leading to the fact that he's going to file some sort of defamation suit. You know, what to you, Brandon, is the difference between something that is real and something that's, you know, a criticism? Because, right, everyone's allowed to criticize however they want, but at the same time, a Nazi is a real thing. A thief is a real thing that exists in the real world, and just kind of throw that out there irresponsibly doesn't seem like it's going to work in their favor going forward if people like Elon press charges or at least file defamation suits like this.
Well, there's two components that compromise or that encompassed in a lawsuit like that, right? First, you got to have damages, and then you got to have a malice to it, right? Meaning that somebody said this knowingly and intentionally that is false, and then you have repercussions that come along with this narrative. And that's exactly what Bowman is doing, is he's calling Elon Musk a Nazi, and it's unfounded. He didn't articulate anywhere whatsoever how he's connected with the Nazi party or that he's any way, shape, or form associated with Hitler. And so if you can't prove that in good faith you're saying this, then you're already in one violation. But then we see how people are so deranged. They're burning Teslas. They're attacking people who have Teslas. They're going after the facility. They're hoping for the fall of the stock of a company that he owns. So not only is the words being done in malice, there's also damages. Now, will it go anywhere? I don't know. But I'm pretty sure the richest man in the world could bankrupt a person like this who goes on the news time after time again, defaming his character. And I'll say this, Bowman is the last person on planet Earth that should be saying anything about anybody. He should be in jail. I don't know how he's not in jail. He literally created a false alarm situation by pulling the fire alarm And then he lied about it to the public. And he also did it to obstruct the vote. They were having a congressional vote, and he did that to stall the vote so he can get there and some other people can get there to make it to the vote. That's insanely crazy to me. And these people, the same ones that commit crimes, point the fingers at other people and say, well, they're the ones that commit the crimes. The same people who have a Nazi-esque perspective, which means that Bowman, I guarantee you go look at his thoughts on Israel, look at his thoughts on the Jews. I bet you almost $1 million that he's anti-Jew, but yet he's pointing at Elon Musk and claiming he's Hitler. And so these people are insane to me. And at some point, I hope to God that they're held accountable for the things that they've been doing.
Yeah, Brandon, I got to push back on that a little bit. Sometimes when a door is locked, I look for the fire alarm. I assume that opens it, right? Isn't that how that generally works in most buildings?
Yes, especially when there's a sign on it that says this is not an exit fire alarm, or, like a fire exit only. Then it's a sign in front of the door. It's signs on the door. It's a sign in front of the door that said, do not enter the doors. So somehow that means, I don't know if he's dyslexic or not, but somehow that means go up to the door, rip the sign down, push the sign out of the way, pull the fire alarm, and then walk out. Maybe that's what it actually said. And we're all crazy and deranged. It actually told him that if you can't get to the door, then pull the signs down and pull the fire alarm. I mean, that guy is a complete, he's a grown man acting like this. And I don't understand how it's acceptable in Congress. It's definitely unbecoming of a Congress member.
Yeah, and I think anything we say here doesn't qualify under defamation because there's a visible proof that Jamaal Bowman is a very, very dumb man. Brandon Tatum will be back right after the break to discuss the two libs that have teamed up in a podcast that, again, nobody wanted. We'll also check in with White House correspondent Monica Page at the White House. Don't go away. We'll be right back after this.
We're in a very holy time of the year. We think in terms of a deliverance.
This is where she washes the dishes.
If you're ever going to allow your Christian faith to rise and to do something for God's chosen people, now is the time. This is the home of Galena. She's 96 years old.
This is what she had to eat for today.
She has one pot with water and wheat.
My father was killed by the Nazis, and I was an orphan. I didn't know about God. But now, in the cold, hungry nights, I pray for food to the God I've never known. There are good people that love you.
You see the tears. Scripture says joy can come in the morning, and you can be the reason.
This Passover, if you will bless these hurting children of Israel, you will receive God's blessing in return. Your urgent gift today of $25 will help rush a survival food box filled with life-saving essentials and matzah for the Passover holy day. Call, scan, or go online now.
I'm not exaggerating when I tell you, I don't know how much longer she could have waited for us to come.
I can't even grow my food anymore. What will happen to me? I'm doomed to starve.
Tens of thousands of elderly Holocaust survivors in the former Soviet Union are living in extreme poverty, hungry, and forgotten. But through the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews, we can bring them hope.
Eggs. It's my favorite food. May you be blessed.
You say to them, we see you and we're here to help.
Please don't delay. Call, scan, or go online now.
Cabinets to Go is bringing the wow.
Get up to 70% off your dream kitchen during the Cabinets to Go flash sale. Hurry in for your free 3D design consultation and enjoy your new kitchen for as low as $121 per month.
Get more wow for less at Cabinets to Go.
Did you know that thousands of authors across the country have written books and published them with Page Publishing? If you've written a book, Page can help you through the process. We cut through the confusion of the publishing world to make it easy for you. If we decide to publish your book, your work ends and ours begins. From copy editing and proofing to typesetting and book cover art, we get you printed, distributed, and sold on Amazon, Apple iTunes, and bookstores. We'll even promote your book.
Call 1-800-319-0257. That's 1-800-319-0257.
Attention homeowners. Are you behind on your mortgage payments? Is the bank threatening to take your home? Is your home worth less than you owe? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then you need to call this number right now.
Call 800-714-8615.
Welcome back to Turning Point Tonight, where we are charting the course of America's cultural comeback. My name is JoBob, and remember, you can email the show anytime you want, tpt@tpusa.com. You can email whether you agree with the show or you're wrong. No matter what your email is, we might go through it, and we might even read it on the show in the fourth segment of this hour. But now it's time to turn to our White House correspondent, Monica Page, from the White House, talking about, obviously, the American people know that with a businessman in the White House, that's going to be terrible for businesses around the United States. Is that accurate, or is there a different message coming out of the White House? And what are they saying about American companies investing in the American people?
Yeah, terrible for these businesses and terrible for the everyday American people. Big day today here coming out of the White House. We're just now hearing from the president and really Hyundai in general, and also the governor of Louisiana here at the White House talking about how Hyundai is now going to be establishing new manufacturing plant in Louisiana and also in Georgia. Now, this is huge considering that, there are plenty of other car companies that are kind of, grabbing on to this Made in America tour. Like, you have Honda and you also have Toyota, Rolls-Royce in general too, also kind of grabbing onto this Made in America tour and bringing back jobs, bringing back new steel plants as well to the American people and to our country. You've also had the health sector as well to even expand on this. You've got Johnson & Johnson, Merck, Eli Lilly, all investing in the United States, building new plants, investing tons in research and development, and also establishing new jobs. Now, this new Hyundai plant in Louisiana is expected to grow about 1,300 new jobs, which is huge for the American people. We know that, this administration has been so, amplified on bringing back American homegrown jobs, homegrown energy and production. So we don't have to rely on these other countries to get our energy, to get resources, to get employees in general as well. So it's actually a very big deal, more than people realize, especially with President Trump, pushing these tariffs on different countries as well. It's the smartest move at the end of the day, because our reliance on energy should be from our own country. So it's a very big day for Hyundai. It's a very big day for American people and, those who want to invest in this country. And you also don't have just the American businesses. You have other foreign countries as well. You have, the Taiwan chip manufacturer as well. They really sent over billions of dollars here to increase production and increase research. You also have other companies coming into this country, the United Arab Emirates as well, donating trillions of dollars for more funding here in America. So it's going global, these investments. And, this is going to be something that it's been done in 2.5 months. Just wait to see what happens over the next 4 years.
Wow, Monica, that actually sounds like that's going to be great for the American people, huh? That's not what I was reading when I was reading headlines about this article. Now, okay, so in an attempt to maybe even reach across the aisle a little bit, you've got manufacturing jobs coming back to the United States, which means American jobs, which means tax revenue, which I think is a thing that libs love. Are you seeing any of the lib news outlets or anybody around the White House cheering this on from the lefty side of the aisle, considering the fact they get to do their favorite thing, which is tax American work?
No, it's funny that you mentioned that, because when you hear some of the latest news coming out of the White House from these outlets, it's oftentimes, oh no, these foreign nations, I don't know how they're going to be able to deal with all these tariffs that President Trump is if you're an everyday American person, you're looking at that and you're saying, so what? Why should we care about Canada or Mexico or China? Place those tariffs on them, because what they've been doing to us over the last 4 years, it's the golden rule of this, is treat these countries the way they've been treating us. So now it's about time that we start, getting these investments in the United States, having these homegrown jobs, in manufacturing plants, energy, and thus driving down these costs, because, the cost of energy really skyrocketed over the last 4 years because we were relying on other countries for it. And, that also goes for other goods and services as well. So now that we're doing things domestically, this will drive down the prices for the everyday American people. And so they don't have to live paycheck to paycheck that they were under the Biden administration. But definitely pay attention to how these, mainstream media and lib outlets are going to spin this in a way where President Trump is really, he's really causing a lot of pain for other people. That's not what's really happening. President Trump is very deliberate and he knows what he's doing, especially when it comes to making deals and especially when it comes to energy as well.
Yeah, sounds like, again, another win for the American people, including the libs, even though they may not count it as a win. Monica Page, White House correspondent for Turning Point, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks so much.
That is Monica Page, our Turning Point White House correspondent. Let's bring our panelist back in. One panelist, Brandon Tatum, the man, the myth, the legend. Brandon, I can see into your mind, and I know what you're thinking. I just wish there was a Don Lemon, Joy Reid tag team duo of a podcast. That's all I need in my life. Now, I know you wanted it, and I wanted it, of course. I'm not sure if the American people wanted it, but we wanted it maybe for just to make fun of it and mock it. I want to play you this clip from, again, the podcast that I don't think anybody actually in real life wanted. Here's Joy Reid talking to Don Lemon, and there's a lot actually in here to discuss that I think is funny. So play this clip and we'll react on the other side.
Grampy Trump, let's talk. First of all, you can't make Canada the 51st state without going to war with them. And let me explain how that happened, how that worked out the last time we tried to go to war with Canada. They burned the White House to the ground in 1814 and won the war. Canada beat us in the War of 1812. They probably liked their chances against us. We're not going to beat them in a war because we have never been able to do that. You'd have to occupy a country that is equivalent of the size of the United States, in which the top 2/3 of it is uninhabited, frozen forest land that touches the Arctic. You know how that worked out when the Nazis tried that with Russia, which is the equivalent of Canada on that part of the world? We gonna lose.
All right. Well, aside from the fact of nobody wanting to hear those two people talk, what she said, I thought, was hilarious. I'm going to give you some stats really quick, and I'll get your comments. By the way, I do not want to go to war with Canada. I don't think anyone actually does. But if we're playing the premise out as Joy Reid stated it, currently the United States has 2.1 million total U.S. personnel, including active duty and reservists. Canada's total personnel military-wise is 100,000. So we have 2 million more U.S. personnel in the military. We spend 32 times more than Canada does on defense. And as far as specifics go, tanks, we outnumber them 5,500 to 74, fighter jets, 1,900 to 83, and the list goes on and on and on. Brandon, a lot of stuff. One, how do you feel about Don Lemon and Joy Reid teaming up? Two, what the heck is she saying, man?
Well, first of all, I think I lost some brain cells listening to these two idiots, especially that milk dud. I don't know what she was doing to her hair. Maybe all her hair fell out because she's so silly. But I don't know what planet she's living on. But last time I checked, Canadians don't have any guns. So we don't even need our military. Just a few patriots can go over there and sweep the whole country, if you want to be honest. And then not only are we better than them, we're stronger than them. Our regular citizens have more firepower than they do. We also have the baddest military ever known to mankind. I mean, you talk about the Marine Corps alone. I mean, we got branches of military that can enact whatever conflict we want to on anybody that we want to. So I don't know what she's smoking. I don't know what planet she's living on. I don't know what rock she just came out up from under. But she is completely losing her mind. And it's shameful that a person like this views our country so poorly. I mean, Canada is the size of maybe one of our states, maybe California. There's 50 states. It's the size of one of them. And to think that America doesn't have the fortitude to take them out in an instance is absolutely asinine to me. The only reason we haven't, because I don't think it's politically reasonable for us to add more senators and House of Representatives who are going to be all leftist nut job. So we wouldn't need to incorporate them anyway because it'll make our country worse. However, when you put two mindless people that have, extreme amounts of Trump derangement syndrome, this is what you get.
Yeah, I like your point there. Yeah, we don't even need to send the military. We'll just send all of the dudes from Florida or the South just to go up there and Just make it happen. Again, this is we're not a proponent of war with Canada. Just saying, if you're going to put it in that context, we got to set the record straight. I want to get your thoughts on this briefly before we have to wrap up. DoorDash, right? We've all used DoorDash. We've all used Uber Eats, whatever, your food delivery service of choice. DoorDash is now offering effectively the ability for users to take out a loan in order to buy a burrito. They've teamed up with Klarna, who will charge DoorDash users no interest. They will charge late fees before, I think, 30 days. Kind of the specifics are a little bit up in the air. Just 30,000-foot view, Brandon, what does this say about the American people and their relationship with their own finances that some people think it's a good business idea to get DoorDash effectively on layaway?
Well, this is the epitome of the rich keep getting richer. Okay, so the people who are rich and wealthy, they understand that if you give a person the idea that they can pay over time, many people are going to miss their payment. So therefore, you're going to make more money on fees. But also people that can't afford it, if they can prolong the payment, they do it in the cell phone companies already, where they can prolong your payment with no interest. The thing is that majority of people are going to miss a payment. They're going to get a ton of fees. And then people are going to begin to buy things that they can't afford because they can prolong the payment over time. So the rich people and the marketing people of DoorDash are absolutely genius. They're going to have an increase in sales. However, the people who can't afford to pay it up front can't afford it anyway. And to be honest, you can just get up and go to the grocery store instead of prolonging a payment with a fee on it. Because last time I checked, and we overuse DoorDash in my family for sure, but last time I checked, there's fees and carrier fees, and they'll try to kill you if you don't give them a tip. And so why would you think it makes sense as a regular person to say, I can't afford to get anything delivered, but yet I'm going to do it anyway over a short amount of payments? I think it's the epitome of how people are not good with money, or they're not smart with their money. And the country, for the middle class people, are going to go into a tremendous amount of debt and end up paying so many more fees than they should have. And that's just that's what capitalism is. The thing is that you got to be smarter than that, and you'll be the one making money versus the one losing money.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of people, especially on the internet, that are like, oh, we shouldn't allow this. And, I think I'm not sure if you'd agree, but let me know if you don't. But, it should be legal to do, and I hope just people don't do it, right? You don't need to necessarily outlaw something for people to not participate in it, right? Is that fair?
No, this is capitalism, okay? If you are too lazy, or you want to buy back your time, whichever one it is, and you decide to use a service where you don't have to go to the store to do it, that's what we do with our family. I don't have time to waste in the grocery store anymore. Time is money for me. So I would love to give somebody an opportunity, a job, to go and pick groceries and give them a tip on the back end. However, you got to think of it both ways. We're not making you do it. If you don't have the money, you should be reasonable as an adult to say, I'm just going to drive to the grocery store, pick my own groceries. But the thing is, you shouldn't ban stupidity. I mean, if you want to be dumb enough to buy a Louis Vuitton bag and you can't afford it, that's on you. You have to be smart enough. And you know what? It helps people because they have to learn a lesson. Be better with your finances, or you're going to go into debt. Okay. So we shouldn't try to handicap people. The Lord has given us free will. So we need to give people free will in capitalism and let them make their own mistakes.
Yeah, I agree. I wish you could ban stupidity, but you're right. You just can't. Brandon Tatum, hey, thanks so much for taking the time and joining us. Appreciate it. Love to have you back sometime.
Yeah. God bless you guys. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Coming up on Turning Point tonight, we have a clip from Alex Clark's Culture Apothecary podcast. Don't go away. We'll be right back after this.
When a cyber thief transfers the title of your home out of your name, it's a race against time to stop the theft of your hard-earned equity.
Many people don't know this has happened until long after it's done.
You as the homeowner think you still own a house. 3 months later, you start getting foreclosure notices, and you realize you've got 4 mortgages on your house that you didn't even know existed.
So when's the last time you checked on the title to your home? Find out if you're already a victim at HomeTitleLock.com.
If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, ride your bike.
If you're happy and you know it, then your face will surely show it.
If you're happy and you know it, smile big and bright.
Thousands of kids just like me are happy every day.
And it's all because of generous people like you who support Shriners Hospitals for Children every month.
All you have to do is call the number on your screen or go online to loveshriners.org right now with your monthly gift.
Because of people like you, Shriners Hospitals for Children is able to make an everyday miracle happen for kids like me.
If you're happy and you know it, dance around. If you're happy and you know it, play a song.
If you're happy and you know it, then your face will surely show it.
If you're happy and you know it, take your shot.
And when you call or go online right now to donate $19 a month or more, we'll send you this adorable Love to the Rescue blanket as a thank you and a reminder of all the smiles you're bringing to kids' faces every day.
Will today be the day you send your love to the rescue?
When you call the number on your screen right now and give as little as $19 a month, just 63 cents a day, you'll be making a life-changing difference for a child, just like Sarah.
Your monthly gift today could change your life forever.
Because of you.
We are happy and we know it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Please call or go online right now to give. If operators are busy, please wait patiently or go to loveshriners.org right away.
Are you having trouble hearing your TV or listening to conversations in loud spaces? Then it might be time to consider Nano hearing aids. Nanos are FDA-registered OTC hearing aids. Don't be fooled by overpriced hearing aids. Prescription hearing aids could cost $3,000 or more. Nano hearing aids are now offering $100 off through this special TV offer. Call now and get 2 CIC rechargeable hearing aids for only $297. And if you're not happy, return them for a full refund.
Why should every church have a fitness ministry?
You got a bunch of people at the church who are in a kind of state in their life where they're struggling with their nutrition, their exercise, their health habits overall. And this is a place where they feel comfortable, right? Like a lot of folks in their church, I know about me, and maybe this is the same for you. This is a place where you take advice and you run with some of it, right? You're being discipled, you're being built up in your faith. You're sorting through some of the issues in your life. You're in this community. And so there's this sense of safety and allowance to be vulnerable. Man, so much of that applies on the health journey. In order to really transform your life, you have to be willing to be vulnerable. You need to feel somewhat safe what you're doing, where you're doing it at. A lot of folks don't feel that at the gym. There's such a huge opportunity for the church, because not only do you get to serve people in your congregation that feel that way and that are struggling with these things, but also the community around your church. I mean, there's a lot of folks that will not come to a Sunday service, but they will show up in your parking lot and do burpees and play games and listen to loud Christian music that they don't even know what it's talking about, but it's fun. I know that because of the fitness ministries that I've run. So there's so much opportunity within the congregation, but then also just within the community. It's a missed ministry, and I think every church should have a fitness ministry.
I think that Christians, almost more than any other group, have the worst mentality when it comes to health. Is that fair?
Possibly. Because when I think of the church, when I say the church, although the true church is all the believers, right? I think of like local bodies, right? And then I also think of the organizations. When I'm talking the church having an unhealthy relationship with health and fitness, I'm talking about the organization, like the leadership, like what's being prioritized on the agenda throughout the year and whatnot. It is kind of far left to think about health and fitness. And so there's not a really good relationship with it at all. It's kind of dismissed. It's kind of seemingly irrelevant. And so in that sense, I would agree with you that they have pretty bad practices. But then also, because we are primarily focused on the spiritual well-being and mental well-being, we have this mindset, which rightly so, is to deny yourself, take up your cross, and follow Jesus. I think in our minds, for a lot of folks, that denial of self is almost translated into neglect subconsciously, right? Like nobody intentionally is like, I am just going to neglect my physical needs. But if I'm reading my Bible, I'm going to church, I'm in community groups, I'm praying, I'm worshiping, I'm doing all these things, why does it matter what else I like with the body? It's going to die anyways, right? And so we can, in a sense, be so heavenly minded that we're no earthly good. We're not doing some of the things that are so vital to where we are right now. And that is just essential. So I really could go on and on about why it's so significant. And I'm sure we'll talk about this more. But I would agree with you that Christians have a pretty bad relationship with health and fitness. It's easy to fix when we go about it the right way.
Is there evidence in the Bible to support this idea that stewardship of our body should be part of our faith journey?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. I mean, when you look at 1 Corinthians 6:19-20, that our body is the temple of the Holy Spirit whom we have within us. We're not our own. We're bought with a price. Glorify God in our body. I mean, that's not beating around the bush. That's pretty direct, right? So the basis for me living a healthy life is now going to be my faith in Jesus. It's not going to be the mirror or the scale or any of that. Whereas maybe that was the reason before. That was the foundation. I want to look a certain way. I want to feel a certain way. I have all of my reasons, and they're pretty much bound up in the physical element of my life. Well, now as a follower of Jesus, everything is about him. Whether I eat or drink, whatever I do to the glory of God, is what scripture says. So how am I going to glorify God if I'm sick, if I'm not taking good care of my body? So if everything that I'm doing is for his glory, why on earth would my health and fitness not be a part of that?
Have you heard Christians use Matthew 15:11 as an excuse of why this stuff doesn't matter? So to those listening, Matthew 15:11, it is not what goes into the mouth of a man that makes him unclean and defiled, but what comes out of the mouth. This makes a man unclean and defiles him. So they're like, it doesn't matter, I can eat what I want. It's not about that. It's if I'm nice to people and everything, that's all that God cares about.
People don't use that as much as they use 1 Timothy 4:8.
Ooh, what's that?
Like physical training is of little value or of no value, but godliness is of value for all things. Both of those, you have to take it out of context. The scripture you mentioned in Matthew and then 1 Timothy, you have to take it out of context. Who's being addressed? Whenever you're reading the Bible, you have to look at what is the author's intended meaning? Who's being spoken to? Why are they saying what they're saying? What was going on? Read the scriptures before that. Like actually look at what's being addressed right now. And so, no, of course, what we put into our body is not what spiritually defiles us, as though we were like eating unclean foods like pork and whatnot. So if you look at, Levitical law, you look at the people of Israel and what they're thinking about when this is being addressed, there was a law there. So you could eat defilement upon yourself. That is not an excuse to like binge on Wendy's every day. Like that's not the same thing at all. When we say eat healthy, eat God-made foods, whole foods, take good care of your body, that is not specifically a matter of spiritual cleanness or defilement. That's a matter of you stewarding the measure of health God gave you. We're on a whole different plane. If you take that scripture and justify an unhealthy, undisciplined lifestyle, you have to contradict a whole lot of other scriptures.
Do you hear people say things like, well, God is sovereign, and so therefore he just knows when I'm going to die. That's already been decided, so I can eat what I want. This isn't a big deal to care about seed oils.
I think people in the back of their minds maybe kind of feel like justified. God is sovereign. He knows. I almost hear more agnostics and atheists kind of talk like this. Christians don't say things like that, but they do things that make you believe they think like that, right? So if God is sovereign, if God knows all these things, like he knows like, what's going to happen to me anyways. I can't extend my life or shorten my life by how I live, right? Well, the truth of the matter is like, if I walk in front of a car tomorrow, I went against the will of God and I took my own life, right? I took that matter into my own hands. That's a very serious issue, right? And talking about that, even as I speak, the mood drops and it's like, whoa, that was heavy, dude. Like, why are you even bringing that up? Well, if somebody over a period of years, slowly just sedentary lifestyle, eating foods that are harming themselves, they're aware of things that are killing them, but they keep doing it anyways, they're gradually taking their own life. You see people that are making themselves sicker and sicker, not doing anything about it, and then falling into these, sugar addictions and food addictions and whatnot. Over time, it's like you are shortening your life and you're aware of it and you're not doing anything about it. I see that just as serious as if you were to say, okay, like my life isn't worth it, whatever, right? Because in some way, shape, or form, it may not be this immense sadness or depression or, emotional drive to live an unhealthy lifestyle. But in the back of your mind, if it's a lack of self-worth, a lack of self-esteem or ignorance towards what you're doing to yourself, and you're not striving to get past that, then I see that as, man, you're making a decision whether you think you are or not.
Well, it seems sinful to me.
It is sinful.
But you know what's interesting is that churches have no issue talking about things like finance with their congregation and talking about how like you could be living in sin if you're not getting your money in order. But then this conversation is neglected. Like if we had the same conversation, like, well, God is sovereign. He knows when I'm going to die, so I can spend all my money. It doesn't really matter. You know what I'm saying? But nobody's making that argument for money. What are the biggest misconceptions that churches have about their role in promoting physical health amongst their congregation?
I think that this is something that people see as like the gym's responsibility, like take care of that outside of here. So in terms of the way the church, in my experience, I can't speak for every church because there are some churches that are like, they have gyms at their church, right? So I don't want to generalize the church. There are a lot of churches doing really great things, but a majority in terms of their role in promoting health and fitness is kind of just totally neglected or not seen as something that's relevant, not seen as something that has to happen. So let's think about this. I started hosting fitness classes back in 2015. I was training a couple years before that. I went to my pastor and said, hey, I would love to start a fitness ministry here at the church. And this was me wrestling after a couple of years of feeling like I was stepping away from doing things that God cared about to train people and praying, God, give me an opportunity to serve you, make a living doing it. Like I want to tie these two together. And he showed me some things in Moses regarding just his staff and how it was used originally for his occupation. And now God was using that same staff and turning it into a snake, and he lifted up and he's splitting the Red Sea and he's freeing the people of Israel with this thing that represented once his occupation. Now he's using it vocationally. I'm like, okay, I can do this. I can use my clipboard, if you will, right? My personal training as a tool for the church. So I went to the pastor, said, I want to start a fitness ministry. And he was for it. He saw it because he was more focused on the community. That church had altar calls and people would come up and they'd pray about their sickness. And he's, pastors hear all kinds of stuff, man, all week long. They're getting it. And so he knew there were a lot of folks in the church struggling with their health. He saw that as an opportunity to promote something that was missing. There was a gap there. There was a hole, and it was an opportunity. And that was his mindset. So I do believe that church leaders have to have that kind of mindset of like, instead of like, what is this taking from my ideas or what we want to be doing, as opposed to what opportunities does this create? Like, how does this serve people even more so? And when you have that mentality, you see the role and the responsibility of promoting health and fitness from a whole new light, truly dedicated to the people in your congregation, truly dedicated to those people and those families. You're going to say, hey, look, they have bodies, they have health issues. Like, folks here are struggling. Let's be more preventative in the way that we care for them instead of waiting till they're in the hospital to now go visit them.
Are you sitting right now? It could be harming your health. Back pain, stress, and serious health risks can build up from sitting too long. But motion changes everything. Introducing Ready Rocker with its patented Rock Perfect design that supports your spine as it helps improve posture, relieve back pain, boost circulation, and release endorphins for your overall well-being, no matter where you are. Lightweight, portable, and covered in memory foam, Ready Rocker instantly transforms any chair or space into a healthier sitting experience.
Sitting too long isn't just uncomfortable, it's unhealthy. With Ready Rocker, we make sitting a healthier experience for people of all ages.
From soothing babies to helping with posture, back pain, and stress, we discovered that rocking can truly improve lives.
Sitting is the new smoking. A sedentary lifestyle, whether you're sitting at a desk or in a vehicle all day, is not good for the body to just stay in that same position. And that's why the Ready Rocker is so effective. The rocking motion constantly keeps you active and helps you ease pain, reduces stress. It actually releases endorphins in the brain. It's a mood booster.
I used to be in pain all the time, but with Ready Rocker, I felt relief and I'm in a better mood. I take it everywhere.
I can literally feel the stress being taken off my joints while rocking.
My back stopped hurting, my arthritis felt better. It's just wonderful.
Now you can join the movement that's changing lives and helping thousands find relief. Call now or go online to get 35% off your purchase. We'll even ship it for free. Plus, you'll get this bonus seat cushion.
Ready Rocker is changing lives one rock at a time.
Now it's your turn to experience the relief for yourself.
Call 1-800-592-1572 or go to GetReadyRocker.com. That's 1-800-592-1572 or go to GetReadyRocker.com. Call now.
Wounded Warrior Project empowers post 9/11 veterans and their families with life-changing programs and services.
I realized I could be successful in a civilian career.
We stand by warriors and advocate for their needs going forward.
They were by my side in the hospital, and they're still with me today.
Through our programs, community, and advocacy, we're proving
anything is possible.
Learn more at woundedwarriorproject.org/connect.
Did you know you could remodel your kitchen faster and for a lot less than at the big box stores? At Cabinets to Go, customize your dream kitchen with custom quality cabinets, countertops, and more. And enjoy a high-quality, affordable kitchen makeover that is sure to wow. Visit one of our showrooms nationwide and get your dream kitchen today for as low as $149 a month at CabinetsToGo.com.
Welcome back to Turning Point Tonight, where we are together charting the course of America's cultural comeback. My name is JoBob. So much appreciation for those of you watching. If you don't know this already, you can email the show at any point, tpt@tpusa.com. You can email whether you agree or whether you're wrong, and chances are we might read it on this show. Lots of email to get to today, which I'm really excited about. First one's first is just, someone being nice. Turning Point Tonight is a great show. Good topics, much appreciated. That's from Dory in Idaho. Thank you so much, Miss Dory. I really appreciate that. Now, on the topic that we covered late last week on the French wanting their Statue of Liberty back, to which we said pound sand, turns out the emailers say the same thing. Scott says, let's see them come and take it with their never-fired WW2 rifles. Also, this from Alvio, I believe, just flat out there, F the French. He also includes, they stink and don't shower, and their women don't shave their armpits. No further comment on that. That's just what the emailer said. I personally think it's amusing and funny, but appreciate that. On the topic of the Bidens getting back in politics, this was a YouTube comment, believe it or not. But just so to put it in the context, the YouTube video the header was, "Is Biden back?" ? Somebody commented, "On drugs? What do you mean? Is Biden back?" I just thought that was hilarious. So keep the comments coming wherever you're watching this, X, YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, wherever it is that you might be seeing that. Love getting emails from you all in comments. It brightens our day and makes us laugh at the silly things that the left is doing, and we'll love to engage with you on that front. So tpt@tpusa.com. It is MAGA Monday. We don't have a ton of time, but we want to play a couple of these clips. Let's play the second clip first, because that's the one I think is the most interesting, and I would love to get out here. Glad, play clip 2.
América, Canadá, México, Estados Unidos de México.
So if you're just listening to this on the podcast or whatever, there's a guy jumping back and forth. Canada, America, Canada, because they don't have a border wall, which we should, to keep those dirty Canadians out. The guy's kind of doing the same thing. And, well, Mexico, America. It turns out he can never actually leave Mexico because he gets deported continually. Hilarious. We do have time for this. This may make some of you upset, but we'll tell you why it shouldn't, and we should be glad that libs are letting us know where we should or shouldn't spend our money. Watch this clip, MAGA Monday. Check it out.
I have a question. No, we're not answering questions. Get out of the car. Why? Because you're a Trump supporter.
I know, but don't you guys want our money?
No, actually we don't. Get out of my bar right now. You're not welcome. I'm not f***ing around. Get out of my bar.
Ooh.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious. Out.
Because I'm wearing a Trump vest. That's wild.
I don't care. Get out.
We can call the police, or you can just leave. You know this is like discrimination, right?
Oh, boo-hoo! Boo-hoo! Get out of my bar.
Now, I recognize that may make some people upset, but let's look at the bright side of this. We are now in full understanding of, cool, we don't need to spend our money here. Wherever that bar was, wherever that bartender was, fine. We don't have to give you another dime. And I think that is a good thing. Second, well, if it doesn't count as discrimination to not allow people in based on their political leanings, anybody with blue hair or, one of those dumb "We Stand with the People" t-shirts, or I don't know, the pro-abortionists, maybe we don't have to serve those people. I don't know if that'll stand up in court, but according to this video, maybe it will. So really appreciate all of you tuning in, sticking around. We'll be back same time tomorrow, same place. Charlie Kirk is going to take us out here. Again, see you tomorrow, same time, same place. God bless America.
This is our last chance to help save thousands of Holocaust survivors who are suffering in the former Soviet Union today. The needs that these forgotten Jews have are something beyond anything you can imagine.
Have you eaten this morning?
I ate the carrot, so I ate half of it yesterday, and I had it today for breakfast. And this is what she ate in 2 days, 1 carrot. Please pray for me.
The International Fellowship of Christians and Jews began this ministry to help elderly Jews living in horrible poverty around the world. We urgently need your gift of $25 now to help provide one survival food box with all of the foods they critically need for their diet for 1 month.
I am very proud to partner and align with the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews. This trusted ministry is giving Christians like me a way to bless elderly Jewish people who live in extreme poverty around the world.
I believe in God, but I sometimes feel maybe He forgot me. Perhaps you could tell my story, and I would find a matching soul that would understand. I face hunger again.
Please don't delay. Call, scan, or go online now to help rush one survival food box to a Holocaust survivor who is suffering and in desperate need.
This is what God wants from us. Just feed the hungry.
If you hear God's voice, I'm asking you to act now. Do it when it's on your heart. I pray that they'll know in their final months that they're not alone.
Navage, allergy relief that works.
So when you're dealing with allergies and you've got that stopped up feeling and you can blow your nose and it's a little bit better, using the Navage takes it all away. Put the water in the top chamber, put the pot in, close the lid, put it in your nose, push the button, you're done. I love Navage. It's natural, it's effective, it's fast. Probably the best investment you could make if you suffer with allergies.
Pick up Navage, the #1 doctor-recommended brand.
This weekend, I had the opportunity to listen to the entirety of the Ezra Klein Show podcast. Ezra Klein is a very smart, honest liberal. He's been incredibly critical of the Democrat Party since the election in November. Ezra Klein previously created a thing called Wonk Blog at the Washington Post. Later, he founded Vox alongside people like Matt Iglesias. He perfectly represented the white male millennial era of the Obama era. It was very smug. It was overconfident, in part because they thought that left-wing victory was completely inevitable. If you listen to Pod Save America, it is 4 of those guys that just talk about how right they are the entire time. After the 2008 election and the subsequent 2012 election of Barack Obama, people like Ezra Klein looked at the numbers and said, old people are conservative, young people are liberal, so the future will be liberal. That is a very fair and honest analysis. There's one thing they did not count on. They did not count on the grittiness and the hustle of Turning Point USA. They did not count on the millions of students that actually wanted to have a future and the ascendant political force of President Donald Trump. Now, Ezra Klein, who is the premier explainer of things on the left, is stuck trying to explain why that didn't happen. So he had a Democrat statistician by the name of David Shore on his program. The reason we are leading with this today, everybody, is that there is a generational restructuring happening. It's so obvious to us on this program. We've been warning about this for the last couple of years, not just warning about it, celebrating it. I've been coming in the chair here on this program on Real America's Voice and on the Salem Radio Network, telling you guys there's something happening on these campuses. There's something happening with the next generation. The crowds we're drawing, the views that we are garnering, and reporters would scoff at it. Oh, come on. What are you saying? You're going to win young people? And Democrats took the next generation so for granted. And what is remarkable is that it is sticking. This is not just a Trump phenomenon. This is a widespread restructuring, a widespread realignment. By the way, if you want to know why Democrats lost, here's one of several actual explanations. In 2020, David Shor was fired from the left-wing analytics company he worked at because he made a tweet saying that George Floyd riots might hurt Democrats politically. The very same guy that we're about to watch. Now, this is something that we've been saying on this program for quite some time. We are ahead of the curve here. We see the trajectory and we lead it. We are the leading indicator here on this program. And all of you in this audience understand that we are not followers. We are pace setters, the tip of the spear, understanding that the zeitgeist will be made here on this program. Ezra Klein in the New York Times, they follow the lead of the Charlie Kirk Show. They follow the lead of War Room. They follow the lead of what we are doing with our Turning Point USA groups on campus. And they're processing information saying, what do you mean the New York Times doesn't set the trend anymore? It doesn't. The New York Times is reporting on months old data. Now, the significance of this, everybody, is that you are dealing with a completely different political climate than any time that you have been alive since Ronald Reagan. In fact, if you take an average 20-something voter that is a young man and an average 75-year-old man, and we've said this on this program, and it drives some baby boomers a little bit nuts, and of course this audience exempt from that, the paradigm shift is so remarkable that the 20-year-old is more conservative than the 75-year-old. Let me say that again. That the 20-year-old is more conservative than the 75-year-old. Don't believe me? Here is Ezra Klein and David Shor, who are pulling their hair out, going through all of the numbers, trying to process how on earth is it that the young men, the next generation, are more conservative than their grandparents. Now, let me just take a pause before I play this piece of tape. If me mentioning that bothers you, it should actually give you great hope. If you're 75 and you find out that your colleagues that are boomers are more liberal than your grandkids, it actually means that you're going to be handing off a country that is more conservative. Good job. You guys did well. A good legacy. Yes, your fellow boomers are trending left, but your grandkids are taking a hard right turn. There you could see the tens of thousands of students that attend our outdoor campus events. Tens of thousands. We don't just react to culture. You are part of a movement that is shaping it, creating it, and pushing it forward. And it was delicious this weekend listening to smug man Ezra Klein have to explain to the millions of New York Times elite academics what we have helped make happen. Play cut 75.
One of the things you can see here is if you just look at 18-year-olds, 18-year-old women of color are the only of the four that actually, voted, that Harris won. Trump narrowly won, non-white men.
So I do find this part of this chart shocking. I sometimes talk about narrative